Hello guys, welcome. We will talk about what I learned today. And actually, today I have one time to make longer translation videos, especially for news, BBC News and TED Talk. So I just translated this part, and I will tell you something what I understood. And we learned SpaceX is not the one company dealing with the satellites. There are other companies that are planning to deliver telecommunication services. The internet is the important thing here, and for example GPS also important. And the other companies, they want to gain imaginary of the Earth's surface, more quality imaginaries. And there's a professor, and he said everybody, and including SpaceX company, also surprised because of the brightness of Starlinks. Starlinks are the satellites. These things are Starlinks. And then this professor listed difficulties about the astronomy and astronomers because of this reflectivity, and how to produce these multiple streaks. There are multiple, and there are a lot of streaks, and how they saturate detectors, because there are a lot of, so when you see that, saturate means doyurmak, and there are a lot of lights. So how can we reduce these lights? We will talk about that. But SpaceX planning to have more than 1,500 Starlinks, the satellites, end of the year. And he's planning actually more than, they will want to grow from 12,000 to 40,000. That means a lot. So that's all. Now we will talk about TED Talks. And actually we start from here. I understand we translated just these three paragraphs. And without powerful micro nutrients, they are like vitamin B6, B12 and folic acid. These are important, and these help us to prevent, to avoid brain disease and mental decline. Susceptible means not weak. If we don't have these minerals enough, these vitamins enough, so we are susceptible to weak, to have brain disease and mental decline. Decline here, çöküş. And these minerals are also so important: iron, copper, zinc and sodium. And they are especially basic, fundamental to brain health and early cognitive. Cognitive means predict, we can say, it means algılama, bilişsel development, improvement. And in order for the brain efficient transfer, for brain's health, to transform and synthesize these valuable nutrients, it needs fuel. Our fuel is these minerals and these vitamins. And actually the biggest energy fuel is carbohydrates here. And we digest foods into glucose and blood sugar, and the brain used 20% of our energy source, but the brain weight is just 2% of our body weight. That's really interesting information. That's all. Now we will talk about the hobbies. Now we started the 50 page, this page, and I will tell you what I understood. And at least Bilbo went to pantry to take other their orders, raspberry jam, mince or mince pies, pork pie, cake, ale, coffee, something like that. And when he is going, Gandalf said, "Put on, just ask a few eggs," and then he asked cold chicken and pickles. Pickles means turşu. And then Mr. Baggins, Bilbo thought, seems to know as much about the inside of my letters as do I myself. He thought Gandalf knows our letters. Letters means pantries, is same meaning. Because he ordered really special things, so it means Gandalf really know what are in the pantries there. So he thought it, and he felt positively flummoxed means surprised. Bilbo positively surprised to hear that, and he was beginning to wonder whether a most wretched means bad, poor adventure had come right into his house. Because there are a lot of dwarves and they are talking about dragons, mines, gold, something like that. It sounds adventure. So he wonder, and actually he is a little afraid of this kind of speech because he doesn't like adventure. And by the time, at that time, he had got all the bottles, dishes and knives, forks, glasses, plates, spoons, things. They are all on the table, and these things peeled up means gathered, collected on big trays. Trays means steps here. And when he's doing this, he was really angry, and his face was red. And confiscate means surprised. Bother means interrupt. And actually, I couldn't understand this sentence deeply. So if you know what does it mean, you can tell it. He said surprise and bother the words, and he said it aloud, loudly. I don't know why. And so why don't they come and lend a hand? So he was angry and said because any dwarf didn't come to help him, so he asked this. Lo and behold means I saw. Hadi bakalım. That's also interesting. And there stood Balin and Duolin. Balin and Duolin was at the door of kitchen, and Philiankily staying behind them. And before he could say knife, here means here Bilbo. Bilbo start to say knife, something like that, because it's italic. And other dwarves start to whisk. Whisk means sweep, something like that, clean trays and a couple of small tables into the parlor. Parlor means, we can say, dining room or hall, and set out everything afresh, and they tidy everything in the house. And then everything is okay. The Gandalf sat head of the table, and with 13 dwarves, but Bilbo wasn't sitting on the table. He was sat on stool. Stool means here tabure, and tabure near the fireside. And its nibbling is kind of chewing, not chewing actually. It means kemirmek, çıtır çıtır yemek, we can say that. Like he was eating biscuit, but his appetite was taken away. He doesn't want to eat many things because he is tired, and he always hurrying to do many things because there are a lot of visitors, guests in his house. That's the big problem for him. And trying to look as if perfectly ordinary, and he tried to think Everything is perfectly ordinary in the house and not in the least adventures. And actually, I understand here, he was hoping there won't be any adventure and everything will be ordinary, and when they eat, they will go. And the dwarves ate and ate. They eat many things and they talked a lot, and time passing away, like in this way. And at last they pushed their chairs. They get ready to stand up. And Bilbo made a move, collect the plates. And Bilbo was sitting on the stool. And he stand up and go to table and to collect plates and glasses. And I suppose you will stay to supper, he said politest. Actually, here Bilbo doesn't want them to stay anymore because he was so angry, but he tried to be polite, actually politest. So he said, I suppose you will all stay here. And it's kinda inviting. I invite you to stay to supper, we can eat dinner together, something like that. So he's trying to be polite. But in his mind, he doesn't want them to stay. That's also interesting and funny. And we stop here. Tomorrow we will continue to translate. Oh, there are kind of poetry. Okay, different sentences are waiting for us. Okay guys, I hope this video helps you a lot. See you next videos. Bye bye.